That's how this nightmare started. Not with a cake, not with candles, but with her lips on his. In front of the fridge I paid for. In the house I built. In the moment his lips left hers, and he turned to smirk at me, my fist connected with his jaw so hard, I swear I felt the bones shatter like ceramic. He dropped. Just like that. Blood hit the floor before the wine glass did. Natalie screamed. Not because she was sorry, not because she was scared, but because I ruined her moment. She ran toward him, heels clicking across the tile like it was some movie scene. She knelt beside him, touched his swollen face, then whipped her head around and screamed at me like I was the one who did something wrong. Jason, what the hell is wrong with you? Are you insane? Insane? I dropped my keys on the counter slowly, breathing hard, staring at her like I didn't even know her anymore. Maybe I didn't. You're asking me what's wrong? I said, my voice lower than I expected. I come home early on my ing birthday, and I find you tongue deep in Mr. Startup's mouth, and I'm the one who's lost it? He was just saying goodbye. Yeah. I nodded at Calvin, who was now moaning on the floor like a dying animal. You always say goodbye with your eyes closed and your hips pressed together? She scoffed and stood up, brushing her dress smooth like it was me who had made a mess. You've been emotionally unavailable for months, Jason. I needed comfort. He gives me that. Something you used to. There it was. The lie wrapped in a guilt trip. The classic manipulative spin. I work 12-hour days, Natalie, I said. So you can drive that SUV. So we can live in this house. So you can find yourself on yoga retreats. And this is how you say thank you. She tilted her head, as if I had said something pathetic. No, Jason. This is how I survive you. I laughed. I actually laughed, the kind that doesn't come from humor, but from that breaking point where pain and shock meet disbelief. Calvin let out a whimper. He was drooling blood now, and I honestly hoped he choked on it. But I didn't touch him again. Natalie grabbed her phone and called someone. I didn't care who. Probably her sister. Maybe her lawyer. Maybe even the cops. I stood there, staring at the counter where she'd placed a half-melted birthday cake with a single candle already burned out. That's when I noticed the card. It said, "Happy birthday, babe," in her handwriting. Inside, she wrote, "To another year of us." That card was sitting on the same counter where she kissed another man 5 minutes before I walked in. She lied with the same hand she used to write those words. The same lips that kissed me goodnight 2 days ago just finished kissing Calvin Monroe like I was already dead to her. I turned away. I had nothing left to say. And then she said the one thing I'll never forget. You're embarrassing, Jason. You couldn't satisfy me emotionally, and you sure as hell can't do it physically either. You've been a placeholder for months. I froze in the doorway. A placeholder. 10 years. 2 homes. 1 miscarriage. 3 anniversaries I spent planning down to the last flower. And to her, I was just a warm seat until her promotion came with a C***CK attached. I didn't say another word. I walked past Calvin's body, out the front door, and slammed it behind me so hard the framed wedding photo by the stairs crashed to the floor. That night, I didn't sleep. I drove for hours. Around midnight, I parked in an empty Target lot and just sat there, watching my phone light up with her texts. Come home. You're overreacting. You hit my boss. That's assault. We need to talk. No, Natalie. We don't. Because tonight, you showed me who you really are. And now I need to figure out who the hell I've been sleeping next to all these years. The next morning, I sat in my car outside the house, engine off, windows fogged from my breath. I hadn't moved in hours. I didn't know what I was expecting. That she'd be gone? That she'd come outside crying, begging? No, Natalie wasn't that type. She was cold, calculated. The kind of woman who could plan a surprise party while planning an affair in the same kitchen. I walked back in like a ghost. The house felt different. Not physically. Everything was where it should be. But emotionally, it was hollow. Lifeless. Like all the warmth had been sucked out and replaced with ice. She was in the kitchen again. Alone this time. Wearing my old hoodie. Drinking coffee like nothing had happened. You look like crap, she said, not even glancing up. I ignored that. Walked past her to the fridge. Tried to grab some orange juice like this was just a normal morning. You gonna say anything? She added, leaning on the counter. I sharp. You want me to thank you? I asked. Or just pretend you didn't tongue your boss 5 feet from our wedding china? She sighed. Loudly. Like I was exhausting her. Jason, you're being dramatic. It wasn't like that. Oh, really? I turned, bottle in hand. Because from where I stood, it looked exactly like that. Should I roll back the security footage so we can analyze your tongue technique? That got her. For a split second, her expression cracked. You've been spying on me? No. I installed the damn cameras after we got robbed 2 years ago. You remember? Or were you too busy flirting in board meetings? She crossed her arms, that defensive stance she always took when cornered. It was a moment, she said finally. One stupid moment. It's not like we slept together. You want a medal for stopping at first base? You think you're perfect? She shot back. You think working late every night, coming home smelling like stress and silence, made this house a joy to live in? Wow, I muttered. So now I'm the villain because I worked my A** off to keep the lights on. You worked your A** off to avoid me, she snapped. Don't act like this came out of nowhere. I shook my head. You didn't cheat because I was distant. You cheated because you're selfish. You wanted attention, and the second someone gave it to you, you spread your legs. She slapped me. It wasn't a hard slap, more like a reflex. But it hung in the air between us like a final nail in the coffin. I stepped back, stared at her. This is who you are now? I whispered. She didn't answer, just stared at me, breathing heavily, jaw clenched. I want you out, I said finally. Her eyes widened, but just for a second. This is my house too. Not anymore. Call your boss, tell him his jaw cost you your address. She looked like she might fight back, but then she just laughed. Cold. Dry. You're pathetic, she said. You think kicking me out changes anything? You're still the same miserable man you were yesterday. I just stopped pretending. And then she walked upstairs. I sat down at the kitchen table, across from the spot where she betrayed me, where she stood with another man's mouth on hers like I never existed. Max patted in and laid his head on my foot. At least someone still remembered who belonged here. I picked up my phone. 30 unread messages. Some from her. Some from Calvin, believe it or not. One even said, let's talk man to man. As if his jaw wasn't already a message. I deleted them all. The house was quiet now. Too quiet. And I knew, for the first time, that quiet wasn't peace. It was the echo of a love that died long before I caught her in the act. She didn't leave. Not that night. Not the next day. She walked around like she owned the place, as if nothing had happened. She still used my shower. Still left her makeup clutter across the bathroom sink. Still dropped her heels by the door like they belonged there. She acted like I was the one intruding. Every conversation became a knife fight. Quick, cutting, never clean. I told her to leave. She told me to grow up. I asked if she loved him. She asked if I ever truly loved myself. I should have known then she'd flipped the script in her head, turned herself into the victim, the misunderstood, the poor wife married to a man who couldn't connect. As if betrayal was a coping mechanism. But it wasn't just the kissing. It was everything around it. The way she smiled when she texted lately. The new lingerie that I never saw her wear for me. The way she started wearing perfume to yoga. I started digging. And I didn't have to dig deep. Hotel receipts. Deleted messages she forgot to wipe from her cloud. One photo, him shirtless on a balcony, holding 2 glasses of wine. Her painted toes in the corner of the frame. I stared at that picture for a full minute before my hand started shaking. She'd been lying to my face for months. And worse, she was good at it. The next evening, she came home humming. Yes, humming. As if she'd just come back from a spa, not her boss's apartment. I waited until she kicked off her shoes, then handed her the printout. Just handed it to her. No words. She stared at it. Expression flat. Unmoving. Then she smirked. So now you're going through my stuff? I'm going through the wreckage of our marriage, I replied. You've been unhappy for years, she said, folding the paper like it was a napkin. You just didn't say it out loud. I said it. I acted on it. You cheated, I snapped. Don't dress it up with poetic bullshit. Oh please, she hissed. You think I haven't noticed you looking at other women? That blonde waitress at brunch? Your trainer at the gym? I never touched anyone, I said. I never betrayed you. Yeah, she said coldly. But you stopped wanting me. And that was worse. That's when I realized this wasn't about me anymore. This wasn't even about Calvin. This was about her. About a woman so wrapped in her own ego she couldn't imagine being the villain. She needed to feel desired constantly. Needed a crowd applauding her every move. And I wasn't the applause anymore. I was just the man who saw behind the curtain. And that made me dangerous. That night, I changed the Wi-Fi password. Disconnected her card from the joint account. Called the lawyer. She didn't cry. Didn't scream. Just watched me with those cold, calculating eyes like she was already writing a new chapter without me in it. You're making a mistake, she said calmly. No, I said. I made it 10 years ago. I'm just correcting it now. She laughed. Actually laughed. You think you're the hero in this story? No, I said. I'm the guy who finally woke up. I slept on the couch with Max curled at my feet, and for the first time in a long time, I felt something real. Not happiness, not relief, but clarity. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of suitcases being zipped. I didn't say anything at first. Just listened from the living room while she moved around upstairs, opening drawers, slamming closet doors like she was trying to remind the house it still belonged to her. Max lifted his head, ears perked, then rested it back down, like even he was done with the drama. She came down the stairs in leggings and a hoodie, pulling a suitcase behind her like she was heading to a yoga retreat, not walking out of a marriage she just set on fire. She stopped by the door, looked around like she was saying goodbye to the walls. Not to me. I'll be gone for a few days, she said, not even looking me in the eyes. Take your time, I replied, not even looking up from my coffee. I just need space to think. You had plenty of space in that hotel room, I said flatly. Her jaw tightened, but she didn't respond. She opened the door, turned halfway back like she was about to say something important, and then didn't. Just pulled the door shut behind her and disappeared down the driveway. For a second, I thought I'd feel free, but all I felt was empty. Like I'd finally removed a tumor that had been part of me so long I forgot how to feel without it. I didn't tell anyone at first. Not family, not friends. I just let the silence grow. I spent hours sitting in the garage, fixing things that weren't broken, just to keep my hands busy while my mind spiraled. But that silence didn't last. 3 days later, my brother Luke dropped by unannounced. Beer in one hand, concern written all over his face. I heard some sh*T, he said, stepping inside. Tell me it's not true. I didn't speak. Just walked him to the kitchen and pointed at the wine glass still sitting on the counter. The same one she used after kissing her boss. It hadn't moved. Neither had the pain. She cheated, I said quietly. With her boss. On my birthday. He let out a slow exhale, set the beers down, and just nodded. He didn't say sorry. Didn't offer some Hallmark advice. He just sat beside me and cracked a bottle open. You want me to slash his tires? He asked. I smirked for the first time in days. Already considered it. We drank in silence for a while. Just two brothers letting the weight of a destroyed life settle between them. And then Luke asked, You gonna take her back? That question hit harder than I expected. I hadn't even allowed myself to think about that. Because part of me, the wounded, exhausted part, still remembered our wedding day. Still remembered our late-night drives, our stupid traditions, the way she used to rest her head on my chest like it was home. But then I remembered that smirk. That smirk she gave me after I caught her kissing another man in our kitchen. Like I was a joke. Like my pain was a minor inconvenience. No, I said. I'm done. Good, Luke said. Because she never deserved you in the first place. I wanted to believe that. I needed to. Later that night, I got a call from her mom. I stared at the screen for a full minute before answering. Jason, she said softly, she told me what happened. Did she tell you whose mouth she was wrapped around? She sighed. She's my daughter, but I'm not calling to defend her. I just want to say I'm sorry. I didn't raise her to be like this. That caught me off guard. I appreciate that, I said, voice raw. She's staying with us for now, her mom added. I told her she needs to really think about what she's done. She won't listen, of course. She never does. The call ended shortly after. I stood in the kitchen for a long time after that, staring at the place it all went to hell. The room that should have smelled like birthday cake and instead reeked of betrayal. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just breathed. And then I did something I hadn't done in weeks. I slept. She came back 5 days later. Didn't call. Didn't text. Just walked in like nothing happened. Like she hadn't burned our marriage to the ground with one kiss and 100 lies. I was in the backyard, watering the dying grass, trying to find comfort in the one thing I could still control. I heard the door open. Then the sound of her heels, always the heels. Click, 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 announcing her presence like a damn metronome counting down to another argument. She stood on the back porch, arms crossed, face unreadable. You changed the locks, she said. Yup. That's illegal. You cheated. She took a step forward, like she was going to try and guilt her way in. I came back to talk. I don't want to talk, I said, turning off the hose. There's nothing left to say. She didn't like that. Her face twisted, not into sadness, but into that same sharp-edged disgust she'd weaponized so many times before. You think you're innocent? She snapped. You think you were some perfect husband? No, I said. But I was loyal. I showed up. I stayed. And you spat on all of it. You stopped being present, Jason. You were here, but not here. You were just this shell. Then leave the shell, I said. But don't drag it behind your back while you crawl into someone else's bed. That shut her up. For a moment. Then she pulled out the envelope. Divorce papers. Signed. She held them out like it was a gift. Like she was doing me the favor. I'm not fighting you, she said. I just want out clean. No lawyers. No dragging it through the dirt. It's already in the dirt, I said, taking the papers. You buried it there. She looked at me, really looked, and I think, for the first time, she realized I was gone. Not just physically, not just emotionally, but truly gone. I wasn't her Jason anymore. I wasn't the doormat or the placeholder or the man trying to hold together a cracked mirror with his bare hands. I was done bleeding for her. She turned to leave. But then, halfway through the door, she paused. You know, Calvin said you'd break. Said you looked like the type of man who'd fall apart the second he got hit. I stared at her, silent. But you didn't, she added, almost with respect. He said I'd break? I asked quietly. She nodded. Good, I said. Because I'm not done hitting. Her face went pale. Not because I threatened her, but because she knew I meant something deeper, something colder. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to beg. I was going to rebuild. Without her. Without the lies. And she wouldn't be part of a single page moving forward. She left that night for good. No hugs. No tears. Just silence. I stayed up late going through old photos. Deleted every one that had her smile in it. Boxed up the memories and shoved them into the attic like they were just junk from a failed project. Around 2 a.m., I poured a glass of bourbon and sat outside under the stars. And for the first time, the silence didn't feel heavy. It felt clean. The next few days were quiet, but not peaceful. The house was emptier, sure, but it echoed. Not with sounds, with moments. The ghost of her perfume in the hallway. The dent in the pillow beside mine. The wine glass she always left half full on the kitchen island. All still there, like reminders of a woman who used to be my whole world, but ended up being the wrecking ball to it. I didn't cry. Not once. But the grief came in waves. In flashes. I'd be brushing my teeth and suddenly remember the way she used to hum when she did hers. I'd reach for a cup and hear her voice saying, grab mine too, babe. I started drinking from different glasses just to avoid hearing echoes. I met with the lawyer. He asked all the routine questions, but when he got to, what's the reason for divorce? I didn't say infidelity. I didn't say irreconcilable differences. I said, she killed it. I'm just signing the death certificate. He didn't ask any more questions after that. I got a message from Calvin. A direct message. This spineless piece of trash had the audacity to DM me on Instagram. Man to man. I didn't mean for it to happen. She said you guys were on the rocks. I didn't want to be in the middle. Hope you find peace. I stared at the screen like it was a joke. He called it being in the middle. Like you tripped and fell into her by accident. I didn't respond. I just took a screenshot and saved it in a folder I labeled evidence, just in case. You never know when the truth might be useful later. Natalie tried again too. She texted late one night. I miss Max. Not, I miss us. Not, I made a mistake. She missed the dog. I didn't respond. Max was asleep at my feet, snoring softly. And that was the only living being in this house who had earned my loyalty. 2 days later, I got a call from my friend Ethan. He works downtown. Apparently, Calvin had been let go from his company. Word got around. The board found out about the affair not from me, but from someone in HR who saw security footage. The same footage I threatened to show Natalie but never did. Turns out I didn't have to. Karma works fast when it's wearing heels. That night, I slept like a baby. I started changing things. Took down the framed wedding photo and replaced it with a map of the world I'd always wanted to hang. I painted the bedroom wall a dark navy she always said would be too depressing. I started cooking again for one, not two. And you know what? The silence started to feel good. Clean. Sharp. Like a knife slicing away the rot. One evening, I opened a box in the closet, the one with all our anniversary cards. I read through them. Some had little hearts, some long paragraphs. One said, "You are my always." Lies written in cursive. I burned them in the fireplace. Watched the edges curl, blacken, and disappear. It wasn't anger anymore. Not really. It was acceptance. This was my life now. Not ruined, just rewritten. A few friends started inviting me out. I said no the first few times. Not because I wasn't ready, but because I was learning to like being alone. No pretending. No decoding someone's mood. No walking on eggshells. Just me. One night, I sat outside with a beer, Max curled beside me, the stars overhead like quiet spectators. I looked up and smiled. She thought she broke me, but she gave me back to myself. 2 months later, the divorce was finalized. No drama. No court fights. She signed what she had to, took what she was allowed, and vanished. I watched her name slide off the mailbox like it never belonged there. Watched her emails disappear from our shared accounts. Watched her scent slowly fade from the bedroom sheets. It was done. A friend once told me that some endings don't explode, they dissolve. Quietly. Slowly. Until one day, you wake up and realize you haven't thought about them for hours, then days. He was right. I thought letting go would be this dramatic moment, like slamming a door or screaming into the night. But it wasn't. Letting go felt like standing in a room that used to be loud and realizing it's finally quiet. People asked if I'd date again. I said maybe. But the truth was, I was dating someone already myself. Getting to know the version of me that didn't compromise constantly. The guy who used to paint, used to write, used to laugh at dumb movies without checking someone else's reaction first. I started doing little things. Took weekend trips alone. Hiked. Took Max to the lake. Got a motorcycle. Not because I needed to prove anything, but because I finally had space to live for myself. And one night, out of nowhere, I ran into her. At a grocery store. She looked different. Tired. Not physically, just dimmer. Like life had taken some of that fake confidence and scraped it away. She saw me and paused, forcing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Hey, she said. Hey. An awkward silence. You look good, she added. I didn't say it back. Thanks, I replied. Another pause. She glanced at my cart. Steak, dog treats, a bottle of wine. Still have Max? Of course. She nodded. I miss him. I didn't respond. Then, out of nowhere, she asked, do you ever think maybe we were just broken before it even began? I looked her in the eyes and said, no, we weren't broken. You broke it. And I walked away. I didn't look back. That night, I grilled the steak, threw Max a treat, poured my wine, and sat on the deck. Alone, but not lonely. The fireflies came out. The stars lit up. And I felt light, like the weight I carried for years had finally slipped off my shoulders without asking for permission. If I had any advice to give another man out there, trust your gut. Don't ignore the cold silences. Don't write off the late-night text she hides. Don't make excuses for the woman who stops holding your hand but keeps holding her phone. And if you catch her kissing someone else in your kitchen on your birthday, don't beg. Don't argue. Break the jaw if you have to. But most of all, walk away. Because sometimes the best gift you'll ever give yourself is the freedom to start over without the one who was holding you back the entire time. The end.